Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And
this is our fucking, fifth try at this fucking episode.
So here's what happened. The first time, I think the mic was on mute or something.
The second time...
Which only lasted like a minute, so that was fine. Second time, though, we got about 20 minutes into recording before we realized we forgot to hit the record button. Which made me feel like a douchebag for just sitting here talking to Jake for like 20 minutes, because no one wants to talk to him
we quit.
in any other context.
We gave it a day, we slept on it, recorded some other things, but now we're back. Even though you guys didn't really experience that,
no.
We just want to bitch about it for a sec.
Okay, so... here's what happened. Last time we went over all of Deuteronomy, and the only real important thing that happened there was Moses died.
Yeah, and we did the whole book of Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
So, that's impressive. You're
welcome. As you knew from the last episode, Joshua was put in place to become the leader once Moses died, and as we said, Moses died, so now, fittingly enough, we're on to the book of Joshua. And we begin with Joshua installed as leader in chapter 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' aide, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people, get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land I am about to give them. God immediately does not give a shit about Moses.
No, his mourning period is like a second.
He's just like...
Basically the only person I've been able to talk to in the last 40 years died on me.
Yeah. And heaven isn't a thing yet because this is the Old Testament, so he's in Sheol or whatever.
Yeah. And I forgot where I buried him. So,
Fuck. Okay, Joshua, you're up. You're up to bat, bitch. Verse 3, I will give you every place where you set your foot as I promised Moses. Your territory will extend from the desert of Lebanon and from the great river, the Euphrates, all the Hittite country, to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give to them.
So basically Joshua is just he's just Moses. He's in a Moses suit now. It's like Batman Beyond, where Batman's old, only this time, imagine Batman's actually dead, and then new guy just puts on a bat suit, and now he does all that stuff.
Except not as cool, because Moses doesn't really do Batman things.
Yeah, that is cool. It's like if Batman didn't have any of the gadgets, or a bat cave, or a bat suit.
Or skills.
Or
goals that make sense.
Or was a billionaire. But otherwise, just like it.
Not Batman. And then the rest of chapter 1 is basically just Joshua says to the people, get ready, we're going to cross the Jordan River and go take the land that is ours.
We're gonna get them.
So then chapter 2 is Rahab and the spies. Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there.
That's the first hiding place I would have chosen as well. No one will search for me in this sex den.
The smell of twat will cover our spy scent. The King of Jericho was told, look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land. So the King of Jericho sent this message to Rahab. Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land.
Those were the worst 2 spies ever.
They got caught immediately.
Yeah, it was they had a paragraph of secrecy. Not even a paragraph. Like a sentence of secrecy.
And then the
King's like, Rahab, come on. I'm being lenient on the whole being a whore thing. But now you're trying to hide spies on me? Uncool.
But the woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them. She said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them. But she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof, as you do. So the men set out in pursuit of the spies on the road that led to the fords of the Jordan, and as soon as the pursuers had gone out, the gate was shut. Verse 8, before the spies lay down for the night, she went up to the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you.
That's a weird
metaphor, yeah.
Strange adjective to be while in fear.
We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the 2 kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed.
And the kids that you murdered when you did that.
Yeah. I'd like to imagine, how did they find out about the Red Sea incident? Everyone who saw it died except for the Israelites.
I guess I'd brag about it.
But then they were like, yeah, totally, when we left Egypt, we split a sea, and were people like, that's reasonable?
I guess, I don't know. Also, interesting little side note, still all the way into Joshua, past the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books, into Joshua, they still are kind of up in the air on whether or not to call the Red Sea the Reed Sea. So we're still getting little superscripts that say, hey, it could be the Reed Sea. So I think that's interesting that it's all throughout.
Verse 12. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I have shown kindness to you. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death. Our lives are your lives, the men assured her. If you don't tell what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. Interesting that lying is okay when it's for the Lord, but not when it's against it.
Yeah.
Interesting moral implications for Christians. Like, you can lie.
You can only lie if you're a prostitute.
Maybe.
On behalf of the Lord.
You can lie and you can lie.
Wow.
Down and take dick.
Wow.
Verse 15. So she let them down by a rope through the window from the house she lived in that was part of the city wall. Convenient that her house is part of the city wall. Remember that for later. She said to them, go to the hill so the pursuers will not find you. Hide yourselves there 3 days until they return, and then go on your way. Go hide in the hills where I know they're searching for you, not in this house where they already searched and gave up the search. Now the men had said to her, this oath you made us swear will not be binding on us unless, when we enter the land, you have tied this scarlet cord to the window through which you let us down, and unless you have brought your father and mother, your brothers, and all your family into your house. If any of them go outside your house into the street, their blood will be on their own heads. We will not be responsible, except for the fact that we'll be cutting off their heads. Still, on their heads. Well, not anymore, because they'll be detached, but...
Yeah.
As for those who are in the house with you, their blood will be on our head if a hand is laid on them. But if you tell what we are doing, we will be released from this oath you made us swear. Because really, we're really itching to cut your fucking head off. If I'm being honest, even right now, even not in a conquest sense, I just kind of want to cut your head off.
Yeah. I'm just looking for a loophole, so I'm giving me a bunch of options just in case. Because let's be honest, you're a prostitute, clearly not educated, prone to making mistakes. You might forget to put that red cord up there.
No, and remember,
or was it a blue cord?
Verse 21. Agreed, she said. Let it be as you say. No bartering on that at all. She's like, yeah, okay.
Are you sure?
So she sent them away as they departed. She tied the scarlet cord in the window. What if someone was like, oh, someone left a scarlet cord here, and took it down?
Playing with it.
Yeah. When they left, they went into the hills and stayed there for 3 days, until the pursuers had searched all along the road and returned without finding them. Verse 23, Then the 2 men started back. They went down out of the hills, forded the river, and came to Joshua, son of Nun, and told him everything that happened to them. They said to Joshua, The Lord has surely given the land into our hands. All the people are melting in fear because of us. And that's all we learned. We're not very good spies. We didn't learn about their tactical defenses. We didn't learn really about the wall too much, just that there's a prostitute living there.
Oh, we got found out right away, by the way. They're actively searching for us.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to be happy when we show up.
No. Probably we would have had a pretty good chance of just walking in the front door right away because they didn't stop us when we walked in.
No.
We weren't even sneaky about it.
We kind of acted like spies. We were playing spies.
Yeah.
We did our own music in the background. Made handguns, even though that's not a thing yet. You shouldn't send us on important things anymore.
No, that was a mistake.
Chapter 3, Crossing the Jordan. And as you would imagine, it's about crossing the Jordan. Early in the morning, Joshua and all of the Israelites set out from Cheape and went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing the river. After 3 days, the officers went through the camp, giving orders to the people. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God and the Levitical priests carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the Ark. Do not go near it. And for reference, that's about 3,000 feet or 900 meters, which is how many football fields? I don't know.
10.
Anyway,
10. That is 10 football fields.
That's a lot of football fields. Like, to be, how do you even see that distance-wise?
I don't know.
I don't know if I could see 10 football fields.
Is 3,000 like the very closest you can get, or is it like, hey, stay 3,000? Also, there's like a one football field radius grace period where you won't be murdered by God.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't think this makes sense. Okay, so after that happens, they do cross the Jordan River, but they do it very much as Moses did when they crossed the Red Sea. They don't just, like, we should maybe get a bridge or something or find a way around it. Nope, they fucking divide the Jordan and walk through it on dry ground.
But made the spies ford it.
Yeah. Fuck you, spies.
They were bad spies, though.
Then we get to chapter 5. Now when all the Amorite kings west of Jordan and all the Canaanite kings along the coast heard how the Lord had dried up the Jordan before the Israelites until they had crossed over, their hearts melted in fear, and they no longer had the courage to face the Israelites. They dried up part of a river!
Yeah, that's not impressive. Maybe I'm jaded now because of the whole Pharaoh thing, but...
See, now you're downgrading. If they started with the Jordan and moved up to the Red Sea, I'd be more impressed.
Yeah.
But now, it makes me feel like Joshua is the Diet Coke Moses.
Yeah. Does that make David like the RC Cola?
David is like the Fago. Juggalos love him. Anyways, now we get to circumcision and Passover at Gilgal. At that time the Lord said to Joshua, make flint knives and circumcise the Israelites again.
Oh, again? Like again?
So
like a double circumcision?
So Joshua made flint knives and circumcised the Israelites at Gibeath Harahoth.
Yeah. Why are the like major prophets of God always tasked with cutting dicks?
Well, I mean, who else is gonna do it?
David does it later too.
Yeah.
Although that's against will circumcision really, but
yeah, that's a fun one. Now this is why he did so. All those who came out of Egypt, all the men of military age, died in the wilderness on the way after leaving Egypt. All the people that came out had been circumcised, but all the people born in the wilderness during the journey from Egypt had not. Which is weird, even though the rules clearly said before, like...
Kick them out.
Yeah, within days of being born, they need to be circumcised, but apparently not here. I don't know. The Israelites had moved about in the wilderness 40 years until all the men who were of military age when they left Egypt had died, since they had not obeyed the Lord. For the Lord had sworn to them that they would not see the land he had solemnly promised their ancestors to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. So he raised up their sons in the first place, and these were the ones Joshua circumcised. They were still uncircumcised because they had not been circumcised on the way. Thanks. And after the whole nation had been circumcised, they remained there in the camp until they were healed.
Well, now it just sounds totally reasonable. Thanks for adding that section to it, Bible.
Yeah. Also, I don't know why they always do the everyone circumcised at once, never in shifts. Like, we're all gonna cut our dicks and be completely unuseful for days.
Yeah, I mean, what if there's a bear attack?
Yeah.
There won't be several dead, bedridden, cut-dicked Jews will die via bear until they've gotten their fill.
Then the Lord said to Joshua, today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you, so this place has been called Gilgal to this day. Gilgal sounds like Hebrew for roll.
Lame. What a lame place.
Yeah. Where are you going? Gilgal. Roll. On the evening of the 14th day of the month, while camped at Gilgal on the plains of Jericho, the Israelites celebrated the Passover. The day after the Passover, the very day, they ate some of the produce of the land, unleavened bread and roasted grain. The manna stopped the day after they ate the food from the land. There was no longer any manna for the Israelites, but that year they ate the produce of Canaan.
Oh man! Manna's gone! I just started to get different recipes. I was making manna burritos the other day, where you fill it with more manna.
I don't know how to make real food now. I think you kind of set us up for failure on this one. Finally, we get to the end of this episode, the fall of Jericho. And of course, they defeat a city, as anyone would, by shouting at the walls. Now when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied, "but as a commander of the army of the Lord I have now come." Then Joshua fell face down to the ground in reverence and asked him, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?"
That could be anybody saying that. It'd be some guy like, here on the Lord's behalf.
You know, because I am.
Yeah.
No, but this also implies the Lord has an active military presence, apparently.
He's just got a standing army at the ready anytime people in the desert need to
talk to him?
I don't know.
What a weird use of an army. The commander of the Lord's army replied, "Take off your sandals, for this place where you are standing is holy," and Joshua did so.
The sand is really hot.
Do it. Now the gates of Jericho were securely barred because of the Israelites. No one went out and no one came in. So yeah, that was the end of the angel thing.
Yep.
No real message for him, just take off your sandals, hallowed ground, and then apparently, I would guess he disappeared out of nowhere. I feel like there's some blank spot missing there. Maybe he was like, "Hey, cut your losses, go back to Egypt." The Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. March around the city once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times with the priests blowing their trumpets. When you hear a sound, a long blast from the trumpets, have the whole army give a loud shout. And then the wall of the city will collapse and the army will go up, everyone straight in." So Joshua goes to his people and the priest and says, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to march around for 7 days. 6 of the days we're going to march around. There's going to be trumpets. The 7th day we're going to march around.
Yell at the wall.
And then it'll crumble because the Lord says so." So they do just that. And then we pick up in verse 15. "On the 7th day, they got up at daybreak and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner, except that on that day they circled the city 7 times. The 7th time around, when the priest sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the army, 'Shout, for the Lord has given you the city!' The city and all that is in it are to be devoted to the Lord. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in her house shall be spared, because she hid the spies we sent. But keep away from the devoted things, so that you will not bring about your own destruction by taking any of them. Otherwise you will make the camp of Israel liable to destruction and bring trouble on it. All the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron are sacred to the Lord and must go into his treasury." Sacred.
Yeah. You know, the Lord's treasury. The one I have a key to.
When the trumpet sounded, the army shouted, and the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed. So everyone charged straight in, and they took the city. They devoted the city to the Lord, and destroyed with every sword every living thing in it, men and women, young and old, cattle, sheep, and donkeys.
Ooh, this time they didn't even keep the cattle.
No, they fucking killed every single person. Baby, woman, man, child, preteen, teen, tween, tween, mean, tween.
Old guy.
Older guy.
Elderly.
Senile.
Probably too old to still be alive, but they're clinging on, and you kind of respect them for it, even though they're a little crazy.
Gnats.
They killed people's pets.
Sentient rocks.
They're like pet rocks, the ones with the faces. They killed those.
Good enough. Joshua said to the 2 men who had spied out the land, "Go into the prostitute's house and bring her out and all who belong to her in accordance with your oath to her." So the young men who had done the spying went in and brought out Rahab, her father and mother, her brothers and sisters, and all who belonged to her. They brought out her entire family and put them in a place outside the camp of Israel. Then they burned the whole city and everything in it, but they put the silver and gold and articles of bronze and iron into the treasury of the Lord's house. But Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute with her family and all who belonged to her, because she hid the men Joshua had sent as spies to Jericho, and she lives among the Israelites to this day. Is that supposed to be a happy ending? We killed everyone. All the children, babies, everyone, burned the city to the ground. But look at how merciful we were. We saved this prostitute and her family because they helped us kill everyone. That's a terrible moral. What a terrible story.
I'm trying to find a silver lining, and the only one I can think of is they were short on prostitutes. And kind of like her family was just like the baggage that came with it, but they're going to give them the tiny hut. They got to sleep together. Kind of like Charlie Button's family, where they gotta sleep all in like basically one giant bed together.
Charlie Button?
Isn't that his last name?
Bucket.
Just like Charlie Bucket's family, where they all kind of gotta sit in the same, they lay in the same giant bed. It's like that. Only no one's gonna find a magic ticket or a golden ticket. No one. They're just gonna fuck the prostitute.
At that time, Joshua pronounced the solemn oath, "Cursed before the Lord is the one who undertakes to rebuild this city, Jericho." And then we have a really dark poem about anyone who dares try and rebuild Jericho.
Do it in your most poety voice.
At the cost of his firstborn son, he will lay its foundations. At the cost of his youngest, he will set up its gates. Maya Angelou. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout the land. Presumably infamy for murdering an entire city full of people.
Yeah.
But, even Hitler's well known, I guess. So, I guess
That's true.
success is success. There's no such thing as bad press, I hear. Anyways, that's the end of that episode. It wasn't as good as the first one of the season, but you get what you get.
I like being back into story, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much nicer being into a narrative as opposed to having to make up a narrative.
Yeah. So, if you want, you can follow us on Twitter at Bible Reloaded or at Hugo Reloaded, though I'd prefer at Hugo Reloaded because that's me, and I like me. You can buy stuff at our store. There's a link. There's shirts and stuff.
T-shirts. Now is a great time to donate. Yeah, so we're going to try to get to some conferences and stuff in the coming year. And now and forever is always a good time. But right now is probably the best time after the holidays are done. You don't got shit to do. Or not.
Okay, you're rambling. Anyways, thank you everyone for listening. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this has been the Bible Reloaded.